Hello. That was weird. So what's going on, guys? Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Man, it has been... Airvex, I did see that. I hope they do come out with a new one. So Airvex is talking about the Commander MPD. He's having a rough time getting it CG'd. Mine's always flown awesome, man. Oh. Let's do a my red gear uniform, yeah. Man. What a weekend, fellas. No, Micah, I'm just tired, dude. It's been a long week. So, Dave Martin Graff, Paul McNeil, Don Shack, Dave in Kentucky. We got a lot of Daves in here tonight. That's always a good thing. GB in the house. Shadow Ops. Airvex RC. Mickey B, what's up? Dave it yourself. How you doing? Mr. Kenny, Hanger 51 is in here with us. Tony Spears, how you doing today, man? Good to see everybody. Gary S, what is up? Matt M, how you doing? Luis Lopez, what's going on, man? We'll get that guy a wrenchy wrench. So, guys, I'm sure you're going to hear about it, at least for some portion of the week. At least for the people that haven't had a chance to go live yet. Man, we had a great time down in Mulberry, Florida at the Imperial RC Club at the... Hold on a second. I got a bug on my damn ankle. For the Pilot Ryan all electric fly-in. What a great time. You know, I've met a lot of these guys before. Getting to hang out with them again was fantastic. I got to meet a lot of new faces. That was fantastic. I mean, just a good time. Great time. You know, for those of you guys that were able to tune into Ryan's show on Saturday, you know, we were cutting up pretty good. That's definitely worth a rewatch. If you didn't see it, you know, head over to Pilot Ryan Media and check out his show from this past Saturday. It's definitely worth the rewatch. It was a good time. And a lot of these things that people are talking about, a lot of the stuff that these folks are talking about, like the cheeseburgers and all that stuff, it'll all be explained. And, you know, and Kenny's Wizard of Oz situation, Gary S., good to see you, man. All these cheeseburgers showing up, that makes me happy. George Watts, how you doing? How are you doing? So, you know, it's been a little bit since I've been to one of these fly-ins. You know, the last one I went to was back in November because there just hasn't been a lot, man. You know, with Joe Nall getting canceled again, at least the summer version. You know, so we had this Pilot Ryan all electric fly-in down in Mulberry, and what an awesome time. Yeah, I mean, look, y'all, I mean, there's still pajama pants, but I do have pants on, so it's all good. So Third Day RC, you know, ultimately, I mean, the show, if there's more Pilot Ryan all electric fly-ins in the future, that's 100% up to Ryan. I know that the folks at the Birmingham RC club have put the offer out to host it in the future. And that's an awesome facility as well. I went to that fly-in a couple of weeks ago, the Bigfoot fly-in that the Birmingham RC Association had. Awesome field. So, wherever it is, it's an event, man. We had a great time. And when you consider how much prep went into it, I got to give a huge round of applause to the Imperial RC Club, to Jerry McGee. I don't know if Jerry watches the show, if he's in here hanging out. But man, considering the time constraints, when all of this went together, I mean, I think that the very first discussions of this event happened on the day that Joe Knoll was canceled. So we're talking back in like January, February time frame when the E-Jet Fest was happening at the Mulberry Field. So, for them to put this together and for it to go off so smooth with only about a 3-month lead time for like 80 pilots to come together in that short a time frame, it may never be as big as Joe Knoll. Joe Knoll is just huge. But, that was a big event. That was a big event for really having no planning. If you consider that, if we do this again, say next year, with some plan ahead time and not necessarily move it away from Imperial, because I think they just did a fantastic job. But just give people more time to figure out travel arrangements and stuff like that. Wow, what an event. We had an awesome time. So hopefully, I definitely want to see it happen again. We had a great time. It was fun. It was a ton of fun, man. Yeah, Tony, those guys at Imperial, great group of guys, and they definitely know how to put on a show. And so I'll have video coming, but I'm going to tell y'all a story. So Ryan's got this. It's not a huge camera, but it's really nice. He's got a Canon, video camera. It's got all of the excellent settings. It takes great video, but it's a little difficult to manage. And I had my Sony AX53 there, and the way that I've got like I've got like an eye cup on it that looks out at the LCD screen, and Ryan kept taking my camera and he was filming everything that he was doing, like all the filming that Ryan was doing, he was using my camera for it. All the filming that I was doing, I was using my camera for it. So my camera has like all the footage from the weekend, like the footage I recorded and the footage Ryan recorded. And he had asked me if he could, we just didn't have time at the end of the event to move all of the stuff over to his computer. So he's got my SD card and he's going to send it back. Oh, yeah. Amy says I look tired. I might be a little tired. Yeah, so, yesterday at the fly-in, after, basically all of the stuff had closed down and everybody was there kind of packing everything up and getting ready to go, we all started rolling out around the same time, 1:30, 2, 3 o'clock. Tuck Hill, what's going on, buddy? Is the wind better today? So I got back up, or I started heading out. Number one, we had a pretty long night on Saturday, right? We were all up pretty late, laughing, hooting, hollering, having a good time. And when I woke up, I got up pretty early, probably about 7, 8 o'clock on Saturday. Wanted to get some flying in. I mean, the wind there was ridiculous. But I mean, at least for me, going to these fly-ins, the flying is not necessarily the whole part of the event. We're going there to, to chat it up, to have fellowship or whatever. I mean, it's like we've known each other for years, but we've never met in person. And these fly-in events are an awesome way for us to all get together and finally, shake hands and get to talk and see me do my magic in person. A lot of people wanted me to set up their stuff, and they see it happen in real time, and they're like, holy crap, this is much faster, and it's always after they've been dorking around with something for like an hour, and I'll come over there and fix it in like 2 minutes. Like, what did you do? Yeah, shake hands, pass around, cheeseburgers. That's so funny, the whole cheeseburger deal. So, listen, I know that Ryan definitely wants to do this more. It was so much fun for everybody that was there. Even Kenny, who indirectly lost more airplanes than anybody else, and not from crashing. I don't think Kenny crashed any planes, but he lost more planes than anybody else from the Wizard of Oz event, where we had this freaking tornado that came through and ate up 7 of his airplanes. And, Kenny just has the worst luck because he gets hit by lightning and it's just him. He gets hit by lightning, nobody else. And then, we have this little micro NATO come through. It was a plane NATO, and it came through and ate up Kenny's airplanes. And I feel so bad for the guy, man, because he just gets the short end of the stick every time, which is fitting because he's not very tall. But man, Mike Bird, what's going on, buddy? So it's good to see everybody in here tonight. That's awesome. Let me flip this from... Yep, and so after the event, I got out of the field. I started heading back to Atlanta. So Wesley and Lori and all those folks ended up leaving probably about 30 minutes before I did. I headed out at about 2:30. Maybe it was closer to 3. I think my GPS was saying you'll be home by 10:30, right? So it was probably about 3 o'clock when I was finally able to get everything wrapped up and get out of there. And I got about an hour up the road, and I noticed this thing is not taking me down the interstates. It's taking me straight north through the boonies. And I started recognizing some of those boonies and was like, dude, this is where Wesley lives. And I was getting real tired already, because it was a long night the night before that. So I went ahead and rolled over to Wesley's house and hung out there for a little bit. I think I, did some noise pollution in their living room, snoring it up in their living room. And, my eyes would crack open and Lori and Wesley and Papa are sitting on the couch, laughing at me, pointing and laughing. Because I'm just knocked out on their couch. but that was very generous of them. And then they, were very generous and fed me dinner. And that got my energy back up and rolling. And I rolled out of Wesley's place at about 8 o'clock and got back here. Man, I think I finally got home at like 3 in the morning. And then I had to get right back up at 6 in the morning for work. RC and stuff. Good to see you, man. Yep, so yeah. Now me and Wesley got to take Amy and Lori to the beach, before we get before the boozer baby is born. Which apparently that's a horrible thing to say, boozer baby. I think it's funny. Jeff in Lower Alabama, it was great to see you this past weekend. It's good to see you in the chat. So yeah, George, I was up at like 6 to go to work. And I had to drive like through downtown Atlanta to the south side of Atlanta to a job site, drop off some equipment, set up some equipment, get back home. And this is like an hour sitting in traffic. And man, I thought that I was going to die. My eyes were so heavy. My eyelids were so heavy. I finally got home and was able to get some rest. But I'm still pretty tired, but I'm awake enough to do the show for you guys. And man, I mean, how can you not want to? The event was so good. It's worth it to come in here and talk about it. So Wesley doesn't know, that he's in trouble because he does the slot car stuff. I don't know if you guys that watch the Merry Boozers, you probably know or may know that Wesley also does like slot cars on Monday nights. And apparently he's getting pretty good at it, right? So he does slot car racing on Monday nights. And, now that Amy's in here, that the word is out that apparently Wesley and I owe Lori and Amy a weekend at the beach with no RC aircraft involved. And I'm kind of all right with that. Oh man. Oh, Joseph Ramsey, yeah, man, it was awesome. It was an awesome time. So Jeff, in Lower Alabama, did you ever get a chance to use your eyepiece holder thing that I had made for you? Uh-oh. So, I don't know if Wesley's in the show, but he just sent me a picture of Rich Baker, RC Informer. That is funny. That's funny. I'll have to put that, or we can let Wesley put that on Facebook, or I'll find out if he's all right with me putting that on the RC Pilots Lounge Facebook group. That is a funny picture. So listen, one of the other parts that was awesome about this event is, we all watch the RC Informer, at least I'd say most of the folks in here do, and what did you do with the squirrel? Yeah, Yeah, no RC aircraft. I mean, we can roll around. We can roll around on some RC surface stuff, suckers. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of folks have watched RC Informer stuff. I mean, he has a very active channel in the RC community. He does a lot of reviews on planes. Some people love his stuff. Some people don't care for it, whatever. But one of the things that I really liked about this event was, we were fooling around with Rich a little bit to see if he would come out of like he's always in like go mode, like every time you see him, he's ready to rock. And he's always in like, he's in that Rich Baker RC Informer mode. And, it was nice to see him kind of break out of that a little bit and become like just Rich the dude at a fly-in. He was a lot of fun to talk to and hang out with. And, I like the guy, man. He had a lot of signs, GB. He had a lot of signs. Roderick James Riddick. I live in Atlanta, man, so it's always hot here in Atlanta. At least during the summer. I mean, yeah, dude, it gets hot. Hot. Yeah, RC and stuff, man, I like it all, dude. If it's RC, it's for me. I like the airplanes, cars, trucks, boats, helicopters, drones. I like it all, man. Oh, yeah, dude. Jeff in Alabama is saying Rich brought a lot of the stuff for the giveaway. And speaking of the giveaway, man, between like giveaways, raffles, door prizes, auctions, I mean, we probably had like at least 100 items that got given away. It was crazy. Kenny, what pizza are you talking about? What pizza are you talking about? I don't have any pizza. Oh, yeah, dude. So GB mentioned Pay It Forward. Pay It Forward's one of those guys. He doesn't have a show, but he's always popping in with the super chats. And it was awesome to see him at the event. Because he was still living up to his name. He would go by in the morning before anybody woke up and like fill up everybody's generators all incognito. We didn't know he was doing it until like the last day of the event, and he's out there filling up everybody's generators with gas. Like, what? Come on, man. How cool is that? And so that was awesome, man. And he also provided quite a few of the prizes, and some of this stuff was hard to find. Like an FMS P39. Where the hell did he get that from? That was part of the giveaway. That thing was awesome. He had one of the old Rock Hobby, maybe it was a Voodoo, brand new in the box. That was awesome. Some hard to find stuff that was part of this giveaway, which I thought was just amazing. So yeah, Pay It Forward, man. What a great dude. What a great guy. He also, I think we mentioned a young lady there named Jocelyn who had just started. I think she talked to the Boozer. She talked to Wesley back at Sun and Fun got into RC. So she was flying. She showed up with like one airplane. She left with like five. Because we were all just, she won a couple of planes at the fly-in because Pay It Forward was standing right next to her. And when he would win, he'd give her his ticket and go get what you want. That's crazy. The guy is just a stand-up dude all around. Super, super nice. Very generous. And fun, we just, nobody, I can't think of anybody that had a sour time there. The only person I even saw, Roderick, I'm in Georgia, down in the southeastern United States, and during the summer it can get up to like 105 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that translates to in Celsius, the temperature for the rest of the world. It gets pretty warm here, dude. BD, Tennessee, what's going on, brother? Yep, so Jocelyn ended up getting to take home a lot of airplanes. I had the Dynam Grand Cruiser that I had not flown yet. So very similar to what I did in Alabama. When I was done with the Maiden, I went ahead and said, hey, I'm going to give this airplane away. And she was the perfect candidate to get that airplane. So I gave her the Grand Cruiser. She also got a 1.2 millimeter Spitfire from E-Flight. That was awesome. What else did she get? She got an Arrows Bigfoot, and maybe another one. That I can't think of off the top of my head, but man, she just made out like a bandit, and she's got quite a few airplanes now to kind of carry her to the next level in the hobby when she's done with her training. She's got like several airplanes that she can go to. She's got, a Stoll, tail dragger. She's got a Warbird. She's got a little twin. Just a lot of cool stuff. And I included a Tune gyro. So all she's got to do is get a standard receiver for that Grand Cruiser, plug it in and take off, let her rip. So, awesome time, man. Awesome time. I could sit here and talk about it for the next 2 or 3 shows, but I know that people want to do more than just talk about this fly-in, even though it was awesome. Yeah, David, yourself, that's kind of how I felt about it, like the philanthropy at that event was happening. Whether you saw it or not, there was so much generosity going across the board amongst people. Yeah, you can use this, you can use this, you can have that. When all of Kenny's planes got destroyed, not all of his planes got destroyed, but a lot of Kenny's planes got destroyed, and people started giving him airplanes like, man, I'm really sorry about what happened, have this. It was just awesome to see. And I want to go grab something real quick because I was the recipient of some philanthropic efforts, and I want to go get what was given to me. And I'll be right back. Other than herpes. All right. So one of the first things that was given to me, and it's not something that you can put a price on, I guess you could put a price on it. I brought my VFC 12 F-18 to the event. I had every intention of flying that airplane, but it was just too windy. It was more windy than I was comfortable with. You know, make fun of me all you want. I don't care. I don't like flying in wind, especially double-digit winds. Man, it was crazy. So Papa Boozer, you know, since I wasn't flying the airplane, you know, Wesley had come over and, you know, Papa was over there and he was like, Papa Boozer, you know, why don't you take Dave's F-18 and dot it up? And I was like, yeah, let's dot it up. So Papa Boozer, grabbed my F-18 and did the Papa Dot treatment to it. And I don't know if you guys can see it. Someday I'll take some pictures of it, maybe put them up on Instagram. But it looks fantastic, guys. I love, even though it's such a simple little cosmetic thing to do, you know, just taking a little pin and poking little dots in the foam along the panel lines to make it look like rivets. But it adds like this extra dimension, you know, to what was already a fantastic airplane. And it looks amazing now. I'm like, oh, that was it. So now it's like, if I didn't want to fly it before, now it's like totally one of a kind. And depending on, if I go to Jet Jam, depending on how I get there, I'll definitely bring it. But if if it's something where we fly up there to Louisville and drive over, obviously I wouldn't be bringing it if we're flying over. So we'll figure all that out. But the other thing that was given to me was, and I've mentioned it a couple of times on my channel, you know, that if I'm going to ever do a balsa plane, I want to do like a stick build kit. And if I haven't mentioned it on the show, I mean, that's something that I want to do. I feel like that's almost like a rite of passage as an RC modeler. Like, you have to do a balsa kit. You have to do one stick build kit just to be able to say you did. So you can have something for the young whippersnappers out there and be like, man, if you ain't ever built a balsa stick kit, man, you don't know the first thing about modeling. Like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that old man someday that says that to some kid, like, you ain't never had to build a balsa stick build kit, son. You don't know what you're talking about. Foam. Man, that stuff's garbage. So I feel like I have to take that rite of passage. I have to walk through the gauntlet and build a balsa kit. So when I stopped by the Boozer house, I was also given this right here. This is a House of Balsa P-51 Mustang balsa kit. And no, this is not an ARF. This is not an ARF, son. This is a stick build. Like, from nothing. At least the parts are cut, but they're not even laser cut. Like, this is an older kit, right? So this was very cool. Man, I'm super happy to have gotten this. This is going to be an awesome build to do. And I'm not even sure that I'm going to stick with what's in here. Now, this is going to end up being an 1100 millimeter balsa plane. So there's parts and pieces that I want to get from 1100, the Arrows 1100 millimeter Mustang that I want to implement into this kit if I can. You know, and I feel like that's where the men and the boys are separated, right? Like, I want to implement the retracts. This doesn't have retracts. This comes with fixed gear. I want to implement the retracts from the Arrows 1100 millimeter P51 during the build of this model. I want to implement the retracts. I want to implement the power system, the electric power system. This calls for, I think, it's a 19 to 21, nitro motor. I'm not going to run it nitro. I'm going to run it electric. I could either use like a Tomcat G25. You can put whatever motor you want on there, but I may implement a lot of those features. I think the only thing that I'm not going to bother with is trying to add flaps. But the way that this just has a single servo in the center for the ailerons, and it has push rods that go through the NIROD, piping out to the ailerons. I'm not going to bother. I'm going to build servo boxes into the kit when I'm building it. So I'm going to have individual servos at the wingtips. I'm going to do individual, I'm going to have servos in the back of the airframe for the aileron and the rudder, instead of running control rods all the way through the airframe. Just build those boxes in while I'm putting the model together. And I think that that's one of the cool things with doing a balsa kit is, if you don't like the way they made it, you can do whatever you want. And then when it's all done, I gotta cover it. I gotta turn it into what my vision for the airplane is. So, huge thank you to the Boozers, who've been doing, airplanes for years and years and years. They had this laying around, they're like, I'm never ever going to build this thing. So this is going to be, obviously it's not something that I'm going to start on right away. This is going to be a winter project. But I'm super excited about it, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you guys the finished product. And honestly, it's probably going to be around this time next year, and you guys may have long forgotten about the Balsa Mustang. But, we're going to bring out bits and pieces as I finish them, and we'll have them on the show periodically, when we get into the winter months. I'm sure as I finish like a wing structure, I'm going to be like, look, guys, I finished a wing. I'm super excited about the opportunity to get to do a stick build. I don't know why, because they're not easy, man. It's so much easier to just crack open a box of a foam airplane, bind up your airplane and fly it within 15, 20, 30 minutes. This thing's going to take weeks, months to put together. Eddie K, it may. And it's one of those things where I want that learning experience. Oh, yeah, George, that's a good point. I may do I may keep the elevator and the rudder inside the fuselage, like right up on the CG. But I don't want a single aileron servo. I'd still rather have 2 aileron servos in the wings. So I think I'm still going to go that direction. But I may still leave the elevator and the rudder servo in the fuselage. So, good points. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know if I'm going to do like a traditional Warbird scheme, or if this will be like, Van Halen plane 2.0. Pay it forward. Great meeting you as well. we were already talking nice about you, so, you know, I'm sure people are going to be in here saying, like, hey, man, that was awesome. Jeff Adams, he was at the field with us. My dad says he's counting how many times I say, you know. That's awesome. I don't even count how many times I say, you know. You know? I just got here. How you doing, buddy? Yep, Roach Coach, I saw you sneak in a little while back. Welcome to the show, my friend. So what I'll tell everybody is, if you weren't able to make it to this fly-in, whether it was through, you know, whether it was because of, you know, travel constraints or whatever the case may be, one of the things that Ryan had mentioned, and this certainly is not a knock on Imperial RC Club, is that this particular event kind of bears his name. I just got here. Thanks a lot, buddy. This event bears his name. So it can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be an Imperial RC Club. It can be in Birmingham. It can be at Neffy. It can be or Neffy. It can be at the AMA Club up in Muncie, Indiana. It could be in South Dakota. It could be in Iowa. It can be in Idaho. It can be anywhere, as long as they have the infrastructure to support such a show and the crowd. And you know, there's a there was one. So the infrastructure has to support doing something like that. It needs to be a field with accommodations, you know, preferably electrical and bathroom facilities, or at least well-kept porta potties, not like disgusting. There needs to be arrangements there for RVs to park. You don't necessarily need services available for them, but they need to be able to pull in and park. There's got to be, it's got to be able to sustain a fly-in, you know, with 100 people or more. So that's, I think, one thing that he's looking at least for the clubs that say we want to do something like that in the future. It needs to make sense for that club to be able to accommodate something like that. But I think he's open to doing it anywhere, as long as it makes sense, and as long as there are people that will come to it. And I think that for the first one to have 80 people, I think that this is something that becomes bigger and bigger every year. Will it ever be a flight test, or a flight fest? Maybe not, but it could be. Will it ever be a Joe Nall? Maybe not, but it could be. And I think that we did such an insano job with this first one, and I know we can do it better. That's the crazy part. It only gets better from here. The first one was so incredible. I know it gets better from here. So I would encourage everybody who hasn't been to any kind of fly-in, go to one. Even if you don't bring airplanes. Yeah, there were guys that came that didn't have airplanes with them. Even if you don't bring airplanes, just come and hang out. It's a good time. A lot of fun was had by everybody, as far as I know. No one came to me and said, "Dave, this sucks." The only guy that said that was Kenny. And the only reason that he was upset is because half his planes got blown away. But the next day, he was great. But most people that were there, even with all the wrecks, I think most of the people had a great time. Well, Micah, I mean, it's hard to set a date on it because we don't know where this kind of event would or could take place. I mean, we just finished the first one. But I think it would be awesome to keep it going. To keep doing something like this year after year. Keep that going, because the first one was awesome. And I'm ready for the event calendar, the event cycle to start for the year. I wasn't planning on going to Jet Jam, but being able to go and hang out with everybody, it made me remember why I loved Jet Jam so much the first time, even though I'm not the biggest Jet fan. I don't love Jets. I know that's what's hanging behind me because they look awesome, but I don't love Jets. I like flying my prop planes a lot better. That said, I can get behind Jets to go have fun. And Jet Jam was a lot of fun, and I think I just may have forgotten that. But, I said it again. The flying in Alabama a couple of weeks ago, the Pilot Ryan flying last week, Jet Jam, Neffy, we're full into the cycle. And I hope Fall Null happens this year, and I hope that Fall Null, because Joe Null didn't happen, I hope that Fall Null is giant with thousands of pilots. I hope so, George. If you guys missed it, we did the public debut of the new Dancing Wing PT-17 balsa plane. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see that yet. I'm going to talk to Bobby and see if we can go ahead and start putting videos up on that airplane. It's not available for sale yet. Right now, the word on the street is that will be available for sale in July. And that is the new Dancing Wing plug and play ARF Balsa PT-17 that will be available at Big O Hobby. Recca, man, I'm a little tired. I'm a little bit tired. When the show is over, I'm definitely going to bed. I'm going to sleep for a little bit. I may not even make it all the way to the bed. I may just crash at the couch. But I'll tell you what, it was worth it. Staying up all them nights, it was worth it. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, now that we've got some folks that have actually seen them, we can get some chatter going on here about some other folks' opinions other than the people that are affiliates. Of course, I'm going to tell you it's awesome, buy it. But it really is. That is a fantastic looking airplane. It flies amazing. There's a couple of areas on it that if it's a plane that you want to keep and you want to scale it out and make it look awesome, you're probably not going to keep the stock parts anyway. They're there, it's got a radial engine cover that goes over the motor, and it's really thin plastic shell, like a I think of like a vacuum molded or blow molded radial motor that's just been painted black. It's like a polycarbonate plastic thing, and it works. But I think for the people that really want to like go full balls to the wall scale on this thing, they're going to be 3D printing radial motors. They're not going to go for that plastic thing. They're going to 3D print a motor. They're going to paint it up. They're going to have like the metal push rods. They're going to put an awesome looking motor on that airplane to cover up the electric motor. So there are certain bits and pieces of the airplane that are there for the sake of completing the build, but are probably not what you're going to go with at the end if you have access to something like a 3D printer, or even know somebody that has a 3D printer that'd be willing to print off one of those radials for you, because that is where it's at. Those things look amazing. Sea Mafia, I wasn't aware that the request was in for Buku UMX flying, because I probably would have brought more UMX planes. I think it would have been fun to see them going 100 miles an hour. That would have been pretty cool. George Watts, I want Joe Null to be that big. I want Fall Null to be that big. No, Sea Mafia, I was being pretty sarcastic in my response. It was pretty fun. Guniac, Kenny got his Dynam Hurricane flying, and it flew great. And Matt and Rich M did a Flightline Sea Fury that flew fantastic. Bobby had a Dynam, Bobby Committa had a Dynam GB that was actually doing really well. But he crashed it on the first day, and then when he flew it the second day, apparently the spar cover had come out, and the spar wasn't being held into the wing very well. So the first time he went around, we took Rich Baker's flags and we're using them as pylons, the big flappy flags. The first time he went around one of those things, the wings were like, I mean, they were not straight anymore. They were a V, because that structure that holds the spar in had just completely come loose from the bottom of the wing. So it didn't work out well for Bobby at the end. But in the beginning, the first flight that he did, his GB was doing really well too. So as far as who I feel won, it's kind of a toss-up between Rich and Matt M. Matt M being the pilot. So kind of a toss-up between Matt M and Kenny, to be honest with you. I mean, those are the two that actually survived throughout everything. Those were the two racers that actually made it back home safe. So just through attrition, those are your winners, Matt M and Kenny. And both of them did a fantastic job. We weren't keeping track of any metrics to say who the winner would be, because at the end of the day, we were all just having fun. George Watts, Bobby K, that little Dynam was getting it. That little GB was great. It was hauling butts. See, I need to head over there myself, George Watts. I only live like 2.5 hours from Triple Tree. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, I'll take the criticism. I've never gone over to Joe Knoll. And it's right in my backyard. Nathaniel Morgan, how you doing? What I'll tell you, George, is I'm never going to miss another one. And I had intended to go this past year. That was going to be my first Joe Knoll event. And it ended up getting canceled. And then Fall Knoll got canceled. And then Joe Knoll got canceled again. So hopefully we'll at least get a Fall Knoll in this year. But I don't plan on missing another one. I'll tell you that. I know, pay it forward. I feel like, like the dunce on the side of the street. I should just go sit in the corner with my dunce hat on. Like, I've never been to Joe Knoll. I live 2 hours away, but I've never gone. I'm just an idiot. And until last year, I had never been to the Perry Swap Meet down in Perry, Georgia, like the Southeast Modeler Association or whatever. The Perry Swap Meet was awesome. And I'd never gone to it. And that's another one of those things that I'll never miss, But now the Perry Swap Meet is not happening this year. It's been canceled this year. So, I mean, once we get out of this COVID world that we live in, and things go back to normal, you'll be seeing me at a lot more of these events throughout the year. I'm not going to miss a Joe Knoll that's not canceled. I'm going to go to Perry every year. I'm not sure about Jet Jam and Neffy, but the ones that are close, the ones that are in my immediate vicinity, and I mean, the odd part is Jet Jam is actually closer. That was a shorter drive than going down to Mulberry, Florida. Even though there's like 4 states between here and Jet Jam, that was an easier drive. It was closer. It was only 6 hours. Getting down to Imperial was 7.5. But the problem with those is much like right now, with my work schedule, I mean, those events go right up to Sunday. You got to take so many days off. I mean, this let's face it, man, this hobby caters to retired folks a lot better than it caters to working folks. Like, let's do this event for a whole week. They're awesome, but I can't make it for the whole week. I can maybe miss one day of work that week, which is what had to happen here. I ended up heading out on Thursday night and started heading down to Florida. I got to Florida at about 9 or 10 o'clock on Friday. Stayed all day Friday, all day Saturday. packed up my stuff on Sunday and made the trip back home. I would much rather fly with no airplanes, fly to the event with no airplanes, just bring like my transmitter box as a carry-on, fly to the event, and either buy an airplane, have an airplane shipped there, and then give it away at the end of the thing, or just fly other people's stuff if they let me. I would enjoy that much more because I'm not gonna get just beat to crap. That drive wears you out. You know, to go to an event like that and have to. And listen, I get it, man. There's some of you guys that are like, oh, I drive further than that. I get it, and more power to you. That's great. It wears me out, man. I am beat down. To come back on a Sunday, not only did I put in, 15 hours of driving over, between the driving on Thursday night and the driving Sunday night, but I only got 3 hours of sleep before I had to be back at work the next day. And I'd rather be in a situation where I don't have to make that drive and I can go back to work the next day and actually have gotten a full night's sleep because I hopped on an airplane and flew home. That's much more appealing to me, and it would make these types of shows much more accessible, and not just on this side of the country. With that kind of stuff, I mean, I can go and do shows out in California. We can do West Coast stuff too. So that's kind of where my head's at. If it's not like the Joe Nall or Perry or something in the immediate area, I think I'm just going to start flying to them, which is crazy. Woo! Tim, man, sorry to hear that, dude. Max Air, what's going on? Sorry, guys, I'm just reading through the chat here real quick. I am not ignoring you. Yeah, that's another one. Pay it forward. I haven't been to Ceph either. I've got two of the biggest RC events in the country that happen within a 2 to 3 hour drive of my house in Ceph and Joe Nall. I've never been to either one of them. And like I said, never went to the Perry show. What? Well, I mean, Jeff, you didn't really miss Perry this year because Perry didn't happen. So, George Watts, you say that a lot of pilots will do that at Joe Nall. Are you talking about having pilots, fly into Joe Nall and buy a plane there, fly it, sell it, and go back home on the airplane? Richard Webb, I I'm not trying to do all that craziness. If you're talking about like shipping airplanes and things to a site, I don't know that I'd be interested in doing all that. That's crazy. Yeah, George Watts. I think that's pretty likely what I would do. Come down there. Well, with Joe Nall, I can almost like go set up my site. Even with my Camry, I could bring my entire freaking RC collection, because I can go to Joe Nall, drop off, whatever planes I can fit, go home, get more, bring them back, go home, get more, bring them back, because it's so close. That's just not feasible with other flying locations, right? So, Joe Nall, I would definitely bring my own airplanes. Seth, I would bring my own airplanes. I just don't think that I'm gonna try to drive, to any of these events that are more than 5 or 6 hours away now. The Birmingham one was awesome, so that only took me about 2.5, 3 hours to get over to Birmingham. So I still felt great when I got home. I wasn't like worn out. I got home with plenty of time to spare to be able to get a full night's sleep before I had to be at work the next day. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed that one. So some of these locations are better for my work schedule than others. Now, I mean, if I've got like a bunch of vacation time saved up throughout the year, and that's something else that I need to. It's not like Amy is real excited about the idea of me using all of my vacation time to go to flying events. And that's where you got to find that balance of, do I use all my vacation time to go fly RC airplanes? Or, do I want to take my wife to the beach? Because she wants to go and do vacation things too, instead of watching me pack up all my airplanes every few months. So I'm going to try to, balance that out as well. It seems like the right thing to do. Yeah, exactly, EQ. Exactly. So, yeah, George, I get that. I get what you're saying. And at least for now, while I'm still kind of young, I mean, I'm kind of part of that rowdy group that wants to camp and be, a huge nuisance. I'm all right with being that guy. These are the floats. So Roland's asking what floats are these. I'm just sitting here like messing around. These are the floats for the Twin Otter, E-flite Twin Otter. Pickle Pilot, we got to meet that guy here at the fly-in as well. All good people, and that's what I love about these events. You go to these things, you get to meet so many new faces and put faces to names, people that you haven't met before. So I always enjoy going to these things. And, I definitely want to make some more I want to make some more events this year for sure. They're a ton of fun. They're always a blast. George Watts, it's a good time. Now, I'll tell you, at Jet Jam, that's a rowdy bunch. We were up till, the sun was coming out when we finally decided, I should probably sleep. Oh, John Graham, that was awesome. That was awesome. For those of you guys that have missed it, listen, there's stuff coming. There's stuff coming up on the channel here. And I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Ryan's got my SD card. Maybe someday I'll get it back. But it's got all of the footage that I filmed. And he was using my camera a lot. So I just let him take the SD card so he could pull all the footage off of it. So once I get that back, I'll be able to start posting my own stuff. So you're not going to see a lot of footage from the fly-in from me right away. We'll start getting it up in the next, hopefully in the next week or two, we'll get that SD card back and we'll be able to put some of that footage up. Don't be jealous, man. Just make it out the next time. Barry Campbell, how you doing, buddy? Linda Stewart, it is great to see you. Great to see you. And listen, I know that the Rosewood Club does tons of events throughout the year. It's not outside the realm of possibility to say that the Pilot Ryan fly-in might not be at Rosewood one year. That it may not be at, the AMA facility, that it may in Muncie. Heck, we may have one here. I don't know, man. It can be anywhere, but I really hope that Ryan keeps doing that because it was a ton of fun. That was a lot of fun there. Yeah, and I'm not even sure that we can have events like that at the field I fly at because it's owned by the county. I don't know if we have to get special permission from the county to host a big event. Who knows? John Graham, that was Scott Settle. He got some sunscreen in his eye and went ahead and put the plane down early, and he is doing fine. Yes. George Watts, that's awesome. Heck yeah, Dana. Bring one of your boxed up airplanes to one of these events and bring a radio, even if it's your silly Radio Master. Bring an airplane with a Spectrum receiver in it. We don't even care. We'll get that airplane built, get it maidened, and help you get everything set up and ready to rock. Raymond Molina, how you doing tonight, man? Yeah, so I know that there's some big clubs down in Texas. That may be something where the same facility that Seth is at over at Mac Hodges' place in South Georgia. They may be interested in doing one of these things. I do like it, man. I do like it. Shadow. Barry Campbell, I'm pretty tired. Trey Hamilton, what's going on, buddy? I did get some planes up in the air. I only brought one jet, and it was. Look, I'm not comfortable flying in winds that are 10, 15, 20 miles an hour. I did fly my Draco several times. The Twin Otter. I flew the Twin Otter. I flew the... This looks like I'm like swinging a fish around. Like... And the Dynam Grand Cruiser. I brought the F-18. I tried to fly my P-51. That didn't go so well. Yep, the P-51, it met an early demise. But the good news is that all of the electronics in the P-51 are fantastic. I don't really care so much about the servos, but I always said, like, if something happens to it, I hope that, like, at least the motor and the ESC and stuff like that survive. And it did. So I've still got that V1200 motor. I didn't bend the prop shaft. I mean, we're going to be able to reuse that power system on something. I have no idea what, because that's a very specialized, big fat motors like that are typically not 900 kV motors. So I'm not sure what we'll be able to do with it. That thing was designed for a small, high-pitched propeller. Not a big honking, propeller for a giant scale bird. So I don't know what we'll do with it, but we'll figure something out. I definitely want to try that again with a different airframe and see how that works out. The one on my right, are you talking about this one? This is, so both of these are free-wing F-18s. Yeah, John Graham, that was nice. That was pretty cool. And I like being able to do stuff like that. We actually did the same thing at the event a couple of weeks ago over in Alabama. We flew the Dynam Hawker Hunter and ended up giving that airplane away, and the guy who won it was one of the club members that had been out of RC for years and was just now getting back into it, and had commented on how nice the jet was earlier that day. So it was, one of those things where it's always really nice to be able to give back to folks. So I really enjoyed it and was glad that he ended up winning it. Woo! So let me zoom out a little bit. I can do that now. So are you talking about this one? This is also a free-wing F-18. Most of you guys just get to see this in pictures. A lot of you guys that were at the Pilot Ryan fly-in this past week got to see it in person. It is in my opinion, it's something that you kind of have to see to believe. The sharpness of the transitions from one color to another, rubbing your hands across it and feeling that it's not like a spray can junk job. I mean, this is so well done. And normally I wouldn't toot my own horn like that, man. The Van Halen plane is like a raggedy mess. This thing is amazing. You know, this is like a factory paint job. I'm very proud of the way that plane has come out. And now with the Papa Dots on it, with the rivet dots, it looks amazing. Now I just need to weather it. Just to guarantee that I will never ever fly it, I need to weather it and make it look like a real VFC 12 F-18. You know, with oil stains going down the wings and all kinds of just crazy weathering, because those VFC 12 planes are pretty beat up. If I could get it looking like one of those, I would never fly this thing. The Draco's a big plane, man. If I hung up the Draco, it'd take up this whole freaking wall. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I was actually going to cut the show off that, but I mean, this is a good subject to talk about, and I didn't get a Draco for free, so I can kind of speak a little more freely about it, I think, than other folks feel like they would be able to. The Draco is a great airplane. I love it. I have one. I paid for it. I love it. I think it's awesome. It definitely has some quirks to it. It is not the high-wing trainer that people would lead you to believe it is. It is not a plane for beginners. You know, you definitely need to know how to handle a large high aspect wing, you know, meaning long, thin wing. Even though they're kind of fat and they, you know, that's still a big, long wing. So there's a lot of things that you need to keep in mind when you're flying the Draco. Mike Patey did not fly that plane as slow as it looked. Mike Patey was able to stop on a dime because he knew what that plane could and couldn't do. He knew what the speed envelope of the plane was. He was able to slow it down quite a bit with the leading edge slats, but the way that he stopped on a dime was he took that big giant workhorse of an airplane and threw it in full reverse thrust as soon as it hit the ground. That's how, you know, that's how he was able to do that. These stupid dogs. Sorry, guys. They're just gonna bark. I just ignore them. Oh, John Graham, that'd be awesome, man. That'd be awesome. I wonder if I could bring the plane and have the pilot sign it. That'd be pretty cool too. Get some Sharpies and have them, you know, the pilots of VFC 12 sign like the bottom side of the wings. That'd be sweet. So everybody's entitled to their opinion, right? And if you think that the Draco's an overpriced, you know, turbo timber, I mean, that's cool. I would disagree, but hey, everybody's got opinions, right? The Draco is an awesome airplane. It is not a high wing trainer. It does not fly like a high wing trainer. It doesn't sound or perform or do anything like a high wing trainer. It is a huge, heavy airplane. It feels like it has light wing loading, right? So here's where I'll tell you where people are getting bit with the Draco. It feels like it has light wing loading because the wings have such a unique design to them, and they create a massive amount of lift. The truth is that they actually have very heavy wing loading. That is a heavy airplane. And if anything happens that causes you to lose lift, the plane will drop out of the sky. So, what I want to tell you is, Tyson, there's no such thing as a fact in this hobby. Everything that we say about these planes is 100% opinion based. You may not like the Draco, and that's fine, but don't come in here trying to claim that it's a fact of it. It is not a fact. That's your opinion, and that's cool. You know, there are thousands and thousands of people with the Draco that will tell you that you're wrong. So here's the issue with the Draco, guys. That is not a lightly loaded airplane. That is a very heavy wing loading airplane. It's, 10 to 12, 10 to 12 pound airplane. Yes, it's got long wings, but it's a heavy plane. The wings create a lot of lift, like I was saying. And when I was down in Florida just this past week, I didn't break it, right? I wouldn't call it crash. Was it a terrible landing? Absolutely. I nosed it over. But I didn't crash it. I didn't break the airframe or anything. So, if you... I thought you were talking about it being a high wing trainer. So, yeah, you have to carry speed. You can't expect to just like slow it down and like bloop. It's not that kind of stall airplane. This was never, even when Mike Patey was flying it, it just looks like it's slow because it's so big. Go and watch, and this is what I would encourage folks to do. Go and watch some of the stall competitions that the Draco was in. Watch, like, the Carbon Cubs, and, some of the other planes, like the Kid Fox. Watch that plane land. I mean, that guy comes in, he 3-points it, and it's like, do. Such a light airplane. It's only like an 1,800, 1,500 pound airplane. Single pilot, real tiny. Trent Palmer's in there and he's like sucked up on both sides. Mike Patey gets out there with this Wilga 2000. It's like a fucking school bus sitting next to a Ferrari. And it's a giant plane. A Wilga is a big airplane. He did not fly that thing slow. He hit the ground and hit full reverse and went brrr. But if he'd have let it roll out, he would have never even been close in some of those stall competitions. So the airplane needs speed. It needs speed. Does it need a ton of airspeed? No. But it definitely needs more than your trainers and your Cubs. You have to respect what that wing is doing in relation to the size and weight of the aircraft. It needs the speed to be kept up. Everybody that I have seen that's crashed the Draco has not respected the fact that you need to maintain speed and that it is not a light wing loaded airplane. It is a heavy wing loaded airplane. They did not respect that, or they just don't realize what they're dealing with. It flies light, it feels light, but it is not. And when you turn it, when you turn that plane, you can tell, because the whole ass end will just drop. Yeah. Not only is it a four-seater, but it was a four-seater designed to hold like just as much equipment as it's the same thing you did with Scrappy. You know, he wants to have like thousands and thousands of pounds of available payload. So I think that's where you're seeing people crash these Dracos. Shadow, I just did, when I say that I've laughed more this past week than I have for like the last year, I'm not even exaggerating. So yeah, my voice is a little strained just from laughing so hard, man. It was awesome. Sea Mafia, probably not, buddy. Oh, dang. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Oh, no. I just got the picture that you texted me, so that's awesome. So that's my first take on the Draco, and I did not see Mafia. I missed it. Oh, I got it. If you're okay with that, I mean, I'm gonna order one, and when it comes in, I can just send it to you. Actually, I'll order two because I'll probably break it again. You know, so let me tell you what happened to me at. Let me tell you what happened to me at the Pilot Ryan fly-in. So I've got the Draco. I mean, it's crazy crosswind across the runway. I'm bringing the plane in. I mean, I've got a great descent rate going on. And, you know, the plane's coming in nice. I've got the speed, you know, the prop speed's up. I'm trying to, you know, to come down. The wind is blowing it. And, you know, I was like, you know what? This crosswind is a little crazy because I'm trying to keep the wings steady. And I also know that there are some weak spots in the landing gear. And we can talk about that in a second. So, you know, kind of at the last minute, I decided to turn it into the wind. So I came around to the left and put the plane right into the wind. And, you know, I'm setting her down. Great descent rate. Everything is looking good. And about 2 feet off the ground, the wind just stops blowing. And immediately I lost all my lift and the plane just whack right onto the prop. And I was like, come on, man. That was such garbage. You know, that, and that's what I'm saying. You have to respect what that airplane is. The design of the airplane makes it feel like and do things that airplane should not do. Because it is a big beast hulking aircraft, and even the model is a big hulking beast heavy ass airplane. It is not light. It does not have light wing loading. It needs speed, or it needs a lot of airspeed. And I think people are trying to do like standard Cub style STOL, where they're coming in and they're just floating. The Draco's not necessarily a floaty airplane. And if you try to float it in, you're going to be disappointed because it's going to crash. Now, that brings me to the other part of the airplane that I'm not going to complain because, like I said, I love the plane. I think it's fantastic. What's that big beast? 15 The Draco, the other area that I'm not necessarily concerned about, but it's something that that I'm just going to put out here. I think that the hardware so on the Wilga, right, you've got your main strut that comes down, I don't know. These big floats are good examples. So we're going to say that this is the main strut, and this is the second strut. So if we say like right here is the axle, the hole where the axle would be, and you've got your two shocks, that go up to the main airframe. So if this is the main strut coming down, so this right here is the part where there's like a pivot point that attaches to the strut from the airplane, right? That would attach like right here at this pivot point. All right, and that goes up and down. And then over here is where the top of the shock would be. That comes down to here at the bottom of the shock. Well, the hardware right here where it attaches to that carbon fiber strut that comes down, that hardware is crap. It's garbage. It bends. It breaks. And because it bends and breaks and moves way too much, it makes it where I'm concerned with it splintering and snapping the carbon fiber strut where it comes down. So I'm going to try to find a better way to secure that kind of knuckle right there where the aluminum struts that come down that hold the wheel axle, and the wheel axle is kind of weak too. I don't like how that's all held together. The struts, the shocks are made of plastic. I mean, it looks great, but not everything is perfect, right? And just like with every model, not everything is perfect. For $600, should they have made it perfect? Probably. I mean, it's still a tough airplane, but what I'll tell you is, at the end of the day, guys, it's still a foam model. If you intend to bash this thing around and crash it around, the same way that you would like a truck, with a steel chassis and tubular frame and oil-filled shocks, you can't take this thing out and treat it like a rock crawler. It's fragile. It's got plastic shocks. It's fragile. It's not going to take that kind of abuse. So if you treat it like a foam model, and you respect the fact that you need airflow over those wings, I think it's a very enjoyable airplane. And even the areas that I'm sitting here saying, like, these are things that I want to address on mine, I'm not trying to take away from the fact that this is one of the best models I've ever owned. Period. It's amazing. This thing is amazing. There's just some areas that I want to make improvements on, or that I need to learn better. I need to figure out in my head. Case in point, I would have been better off landing in the crosswind than I would have landing into the wind. I should have stayed with the crosswind because I had to carry more speed in the crosswind than I did. I had to carry more ground speed. It's hard for us to judge airspeed in a model. When you're flying third person, it's hard for us to judge airspeed. And, I was relying too much on descent rate and things like that. And if I had stayed in the crosswind, I'd have put that plane down and it'd have been fine. So that sucks. Oh, John Newt, yeah, man, if you had fingerprints on all the glass on your airplane, that's kind of crappy, dude. Like, those folks should be wearing gloves. That stuff should have plastic coatings on it before final assembly. Yeah, man, listen, I still love the Draco, even with the couple of things that I found on it that I don't necessarily think are awesome. But I still love it. I still love that model. Listen, man, The Apprentice is full of flaws, and I love that thing. That thing is great. The Bigfoot, I think, is awesome. It's got terrible landing gear. I love the Commander MPD. The pilot's head is way too big. The wheels are crap, but it flies amazing. There's funny that there are planes that are well loved in this community. They've all got problems, though. They've all got problems, and the Draco's no different. As we learn the airplane, it's only been out for a few weeks, fellas. As we learn the airplane and figure out how to fly it and how to get better at flying it, I think that learning experience, as we start to convey that out to people, like, don't try to land this plane at zero, it can't go zero. Can it fly backwards? Yeah, in a heavy enough wind. But when people say like 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, the Draco thrives in it, I think the reason that they say that is because that is what gets the Draco looking like a big stall plane. That makes it look the way they expected it to. Does that make sense? Like, people expect this to be like this awesome stall plane that should just be able to, like be on an elevator shaft and just go straight down with zero airspeed, zero ground speed, just go straight down. When that's not true. That's not how that airplane flew. Now, if you've got a 15 to 20 knot headwind, consistent, you'll be able to pull that off. You know what I'm saying? You'll be able to do that. You'll be able to pull that off. But if you don't have a 15 to 20 mile an hour headwind, and you're trying to bring that plane in real slow like that, you're going to stall it. It's going to fall out of the sky. It's not that kind of plane. It's not a high wing trainer like your buddies are telling you. Don't believe that. Oh, Stukas look terrible, man. Stukas are the ugliest plane ever made. So, what else was it about the Draco? There was something else that I wanted to mention about that thing. I mean, it's not important, but you guys understand what I'm saying. I think that as we get more folks out there that kind of unlock the... Barry, I've got it out in the garage. It still lives, but the front is broke off of it. The Draco is a good enough airplane that I think as more people learn how to fly it and take advantage of the flight characteristics and really learn what that plane can do, and we start to mitigate this expectation that it can land at like 2 miles an hour. It can't. It needs lift. It needs airflow to create lift, and the wings will create a ton of of lift at reasonable wind speeds or whatever. But I think that some of these videos that you're watching of people flying the Draco in a heavy headwind give you this false sense of confidence in thinking that you're just going to be able to land the plane in like a foot. And keep the speed up, guys. That's it. Keep the speed up. and the Draco will love you for it. Whether that is, wind speed because you're flying in 20 knot winds that people can't see. So it gives you this impression that the airplane can just land like, I mean, keep in mind, a lot of these videos that you're watching, the wind is blowing. If you don't have any wind, you're gonna have to bleed your speed down. You're gonna have to manage your descent rate with airspeed, the same way we always do. You land it like a plane. But, the other thing I'll tell you is I think that a lot of the people that are damaging their landing gear, that is coming from people that are doing main gear landings, just slamming it in and trying to land it like a warbird. Don't do that. Pitch that thing up and 3-point it in. You got that nice cushy suspension on all sides, angle that plane up, maintain your airspeed, maintain your descent rate, and just 3-point that plane in, and it will be smooth as glass. Yeah, Lyndon Stewart, that was pretty impressive. Jeff in Lower Alabama has a good video on that, and I've got one that is on a memory card that Ryan's got right now. When I get that memory card back, I will definitely be sharing that video as well. But yeah, it's awesome, man. It's awesome. And Lyndon, I don't know when your Draco's going to ship, buddy, but as soon as it does, we're going to get it down there for you. It has not shipped yet. John Graham, no, man. And I even cleaned up in here. I cleaned up, I swept, I mopped, I did all kinds of crap in this room. That prop nut's gone. But I think I told you guys, I did find some replacements at Ace Hardware. They're very nice. Wreck-em Roy. No, I like the tension of the shocks. I don't like the plastic housings, the plastic gear, all that stuff. if they were any softer, I would want them to be oil filled, like oil dampened shocks, internal spring oil dampened shocks, with a little bit of light loading on the springs, like light preloading. I just wouldn't want any droop on them. Like, I don't want them to be compressed when the plane is just sitting. I want that compression to happen through force. But that's just how I would like it, right? But what do I know? I mean, it probably would be okay to have a little droop in there because you want the plane to be able to ride over bumpy crap. So, I mean, they could probably stand to be a little bit lighter, but if they went with a lighter spring, I would want them to be oil filled at that point. RC and stuff. I think every kid at some point in their life thinks their parents are pieces of shit. I just wanted to throw that out there. And I'm not trying to discredit you, man. I'm sure you're upset about something, but just also keep in mind that parenting is hard, man. It really is. Oh, okay. I mean, cool deal. Mickey B, I've thought about it, man. I'm looking. I gotta measure, the full travel of the shock. But yeah, I gotta measure the full travel of the shock and what the compressed and decompressed lengths are. And see what's out there. All right, guys. Well, it is after 10 o'clock. I am going to go ahead and get going because our buddy Ray is going to be on in about 12 minutes going live. So I'm going to go ahead and head out of here, and I think I might just go... I might go straight to bed, dude. Oh, yeah, RC stuff. I do agree with that, man. I do agree with that. As always, if you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the comments of my videos. If you are looking to make purchases, always consider going to rcairmarshal.com and using our affiliate links. It helps out the channel so much. And I hope to have some new stuff here for you guys soon. New content for people to watch that has nothing at all to do with radios. So thank you guys as always for coming out. I appreciate you. And we will be back. We need more on program receivers. I'm done for now, man. I'm all programmed out. So anyway, guys, again, thank you guys so much for coming out and hanging out again. For all you folks that were at the Pilot Ryan fly-in, I mean, it's a long and distinguished list, so I'm not going to sit here and name everybody, but I really enjoyed spending time with every one of you this past weekend. That was an absolute blast. For people that stayed for the after-hour shenanigans, thanks. We just had a super fun time. Sea Mafia, I'll let you know about, what you were asking about earlier. That would be awesome if you could do that. I'd really appreciate it. And just thank you guys for coming out every Monday, man. This is our 72nd show. That's crazy. You know, we're not that far away at this point from working our way into triple digits. So, guys, everybody had a fun time at the fly-in. I hope everybody had a fun time tonight. Thank you guys all for watching. Be sure to tune into Gooniac here at 10:15. And we will see you guys all next week. Everybody have a great night.